that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, the Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Watch out, and he scored! And we're live.
And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream tonight. Thank you all for being here. And we got a pretty interesting stream. I want to do something different, something that I've never done before, certainly not live. We're going to look at different teams' draft histories throughout, particularly the last few years, like the 2000s and 2010s. But we could go back further than that if you guys wanted to. Just gonna kind of go through and we'll whatever teams you guys want to talk about, we'll look at their draft history and just players they've taken, steals, busts, bad first rounds, good first rounds, and just we'll see which teams have drafted well recently or which teams have drafted well for a good stretch and which teams haven't. It's going to be something different, something that I haven't done before. That's definitely a change, just something new and a change. So, see, I know we got quite a few people here in the chat already. We've got NFL Nations here, Nordic. Hey, what's going on, Nordic? Welcome. I have a video with Nordic dropping tomorrow, guys, so you guys are going to want to see that. NFL Nation, I said, Slapshot Hockey's here. What's going on? Brandon. Kevin's here. Vernon, what's going on, everybody? Livin' La Barbara's here. Awesome. Yeah, no, classic Nordiques. We'd be going way back for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pull up Hockey Reference, and then we can go through and take a look at all the things. Yeah, Nordic, our video is dropping tomorrow, bro. I think I have it set for 6 p.m. tomorrow night. So. You guys are definitely going to want to see that. Nordic and I had a nice discussion about the Philadelphia Flyers, and I'm hoping to get some more, some other YouTubers, fans of different teams, on the channel as well over the next few weeks, so we can talk about their teams and stuff. THG's here. What's going on, man? It's going pretty well. Not much, just streaming tonight. Hope you're doing well. Connor's here. Aiden's here, John's here. What is going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for all watching already. This is awesome. Nah, I probably won't be there when it drops tomorrow. So it's not a premiere. It's just gonna go it's just going to go public at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Most of my videos are scheduled. I record, except for like news stuff, like the Hub City news today, everything I do is recorded like 2 to 3 days before it actually drops. So, yeah, this was recorded yesterday. Yeah, Nordic and I did it yesterday, and it's going to drop tomorrow. Hey, Butcher's Block, thank you so much, man, for the dono. Bobby is in the house. He put the $2 dono already. Wow, we're starting the stream off strong. There we go. Hockey's coming back. Hopefully, they're close. It definitely is close. Yeah, get that dono hype in the chat, guys. Vaughn's here as well. Thank you guys so much all for watching, and thank you so much for the dono, Bobby. Yeah. Hockey's close. They need to fully agree on oh yeah, they need to fully agree on the final terms of everything. But they've picked the hub cities. They seem to be agreeing on a lot of stuff. So I would expect within the next few days we're gonna get a final word on that for sure. Nordic wants to talk about Nail Yakupov, so we might be doing the Oilers here first. That's a great team to start with for sure, as far as draft stuff goes. But I'm gonna give everyone like 10 minutes to get some more people in the stream, and then I'm gonna pull up Hockey Reference, and we'll start with the draft stuff. I don't agree with that. I don't trust that report at all, Brandon. literally that was the cancel hockey crowd's rallying cry yesterday, and then literally they came out. Today, and Bob McKenzie's like, they're agreeing on almost everything, and the CBA is like getting worked out. So that report from yesterday seems like a bunch of garbage. No, they're gonna be starting up the season. They should be starting the season. It's time for hockey to come back. COVID's not going anywhere, so we're gonna have to learn to live with it because it's not going anywhere. So, hey, another 2 from Bobby. Let's go. More dono hype, guys. Let's go. Hockey absolutely should be coming back. Cracking a beer. Let's go. We got a few more people in here, and then we're going to start the draft talk. HTH in the house. Let's go. John is here. Let's go. HTH in the house. Sweet. Bruins going to win the cup? I hope so. We'll see. Obviously, they're one of the top teams, but I think this year more than any year, it's going to be completely up for grabs, depending on who's playing well and who's not. So it's going to be wild, but seems like we are getting pretty close to the return of hockey here. All the players have to. I mean, the NHLPA and the NHL have worked out a lot of stuff already, and the reports are good, saying they're talking about Olympic participation. They're figuring out the salary cap. There's a lot of stuff getting done, and I would think that over the next few weeks, or not few weeks, few days, we're gonna get a final answer on when it's going to happen. Hey, Eddie's here. What's going on, Eddie? Appreciate you being here as always. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close to 1.5K. If I can do math right. Yeah, we're 43. Because we're not to 1.46 yet. We're 43 subs away from 1.5K. So, if you know someone that wants to sub, definitely get them too. That'd be great. We're getting really close. Yeah, hey, notifications actually worked. I'm glad that they worked tonight. That's good. YouTube's been wild with the notifications not working lately, but I'm glad that these ones went out. Brandon's got Tristan jokes already. No, because I don't agree. I don't think players signed after the trade deadline should be allowed to play. I really don't think they should be, because in a normal season, if you're not on the roster, if you're not under contract with that team by the trade I'm pretty sure it's the trade deadline is the cutoff. If you are not on that roster of the team by the trade deadline, you cannot play in the playoffs. And I think that should be the same for this one. Just because the season got moved down, it's still the same season. So players who signed later or over the summer should not be allowed to play until next season, like they would in a normal year. Hey, Leafs Forever's here. What's going on? Damn, we got a lot of people. We're getting close. We're getting close here. We got a lot of people. I think if we're ready to start the draft stuff, I think. So, let's see. I'm going to go to Hockey Reference, and I think we're going to start with the Oilers, cuz the Oilers are a fantastic team for this. So, let me just pull up the Oilers draft history here. And we're going to start looking at Edmonton's draft history, because this is going to be a lot of fun. Let me get it up and make sure. Come on. What's my mouse doing? All right, here we go. Now I just got to switch the screen to... No, not that one. This one. All right, here we go. This mouse is so messed up. Never works right. But anyway, here we go. I'm on a cap friendly here. Actually, I'm going to pull up the chat. I'm going to pull up the chat on my phone because I can't see it when I'm using my computer screen to look at cap friendly, obviously. Or not for hockey reference, not cap friendly. I'm usually on cap friendly, but for this hockey reference is definitely the place to be. So live chat on my phone. All right. Imagine not knowing 4 times 4. I can't. All right, here we go. Yes, Edmonton. Here we go. The Edmonton Oilers, guys. This is going to be fun. So, I mean, it's hard to talk. It's hard to talk about the most recent drafts because these guys aren't, they're still young. They're still developing. Hey, what's going on, Maddie? Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it as always. No problem at all, man. Glad you dropped the like. Thank you so much. But so the guys just drafted. I mean, like Philip Broberg. I mean, just drafted last year. Like these guys are too young to know. Evan Bouchard, good young defensive prospect. He's only played 7 games. But once you start getting back towards 2016, 2015, you really start to see like how these teams did with these drafts. And we look at 2017 here. Kyler Yamamoto was their first round pick. He's had a good season this year. He came up and played pretty darn well with the Oilers this year. So Yamamoto is a young guy just getting his first real crack at the NHL, and he had a pretty good year this year. But if you look at the rest of that draft, again, they're young, and as you go deeper in the draft, the less likely they are to be NHLers, and the more time they need to develop. But outside of Yamamoto, is there anybody here in this 2017 draft that you're overly excited about? Stuart Skinner was their 3rd round pick for a goaltender, and he was pretty bad in the AHL this season. His goals against average was like 3.31 in the AHL this year. So, I mean, you got to wonder, how is that going to translate to the NHL? I get that the team wasn't good, but that's not great for a that's not great for an AHL numbers for your goaltender. 2016 4th overall pick, and they took Jesse Puljujarvi. That was obviously, that whole thing has been a disaster. He only has 37 points in 139 NHL games, and then he's had it out with the team. I am not a Puljujarvi fan at all. I can't stand Puljujarvi. I hate his attitude. I think he's lazy. I think he thinks he's full of it. He thinks he's so good when the numbers show he's not even ready to be an NHL player yet. Like, he's not good. Like, that doesn't mean he couldn't have been good in the future, but he didn't seem too interested in putting in the work and becoming a well-rounded NHL player. And dude, what are you complaining about? You have 37 points in 139 games. It's not like you have 100 points in 139 games. You have 37 career points. Like, shut up and put in the work. And he seems to have no interest in putting in the work. I agree. Hey, Sal's here. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for being here, as always. Appreciate it, man, and glad you could drop the like. Please, guys, hit that subscribe button if you're new, and give this video a like if you haven't already. Really helps out a lot and is much appreciated. But on the other hand, Tyler Benson, I think, is my favorite out of all of these guys as far as players that they took in 2016. Benson has had a couple of really good AHL seasons. He's only played 7 NHL games. He hasn't really gotten the call up. He hasn't really gotten a lot of call ups or time at the NHL level yet, but he's been really, really good in the AHL. So he's a guy that I think as he gets older, and continues to develop, has a real chance to become an NHL winger. Whereas Puljujarvi, I think he might as well just stay in Europe. Unless he goes to another team, but his attitude is absolute garbage. So again, beyond at least their top 2 have at least played NHL games. Beyond that, nobody's played an NHL game yet. Hey Sutton, what's going on? Appreciate you being here as always. Road to 2K Nordic, absolutely. Hey, if you guys want to share this stream on with your friends or on Twitter or anywhere, hit that share button and might be able to get some more people in here. But let's go to 2015. So obviously, I don't even need to talk about Connor McDavid. I mean, he's one of the best players. He's a generational talent. Round 1, first overall, obviously, like elite pick right there. They did not pick again until the 4th round, and they took Caleb Jones. And Caleb Jones played, I forget how many, but he did play a decent amount at the NHL this year and is a good young defenseman that is starting to finally grow into an NHL defenseman. And you could say the exact same thing about Ethan Bear, who was picked in the 5th round, and he had a really, really good year this year as well. So Caleb Jones and Ethan Bear, both for a 4th and a 5th round pick, they've turned out really, really good, and both had really strong seasons this year as basically rookie defensemen. Bear had a little bit of NHL action before this year, but basically they were both rookie defensemen, and they both had solid seasons. And then you have John Marino, who I actually did not know was originally an Oilers pick, but you've got John Marino here, who had a great year with Pittsburgh. So, like, they actually, obviously McDavid was the winner here, but they picked 3 solid young defensemen, with mid to late round picks in round 4, 5, and 6. So 2015 was actually, for not having that many picks, was a very, very good draft for the Edmonton Oilers. And then we moved down to 2014. Obviously, the big fish of 2014 was Leon Draisaitl, taken 3rd overall. He's now become an MVP level player in the NHL, obviously an elite talent. And again, they didn't have a 2nd or 3rd round pick that year. So they go to the 4th round, and they took William Lagesson, another defenseman. He's only played 8 games. He's not, I don't know, he hasn't really turned out. But again, he was a 4th round pick. That is, that's pretty late in the draft. And then beyond that, nobody's played an NHL game yet. Now we're getting close to the fun stuff here. 2013, Darnell Nurse. I like Darnell Nurse. I like his style of play. He's a top 4 defenseman. Might have been drafted a little high at number 7, but I like Darnell Nurse as a mid-pair defenseman. I think he's got to figure out the turnovers. That's an issue for him, but he's still pretty young. He was only drafted 7 years ago, so he's like 25 now, right about when defensemen start getting into their prime. I think 25, 26, 27 is when defensemen really, really start to get good at the NHL level. And so Nurse is a guy to watch over the next couple years. He was drafted a little high, but he's still a solid player. In the 2nd round, they took Marc-Olivier Roy, and he never touched NHL ice. Bodkin Yakimov, never even heard of him in the 3rd round. He played 1 game, and that was it. What am I doing there? And then Slepyshev. And Slepyshev didn't last very long. I mean, he was a 3rd round pick. He played over 100 games, but he didn't last that long in the NHL. And then beyond that, nobody else has played. And that's typical. Generally, teams usually get two, or if you're lucky, three NHL players per draft. So if you know having they got Nurse out of this one. Beyond that, it's kind of you're lucky if you get someone beyond that. Now we go to 2012. We all know about Nail Yakupov, one of the absolute biggest busts in NHL history. First overall, he only lasted 350 games and he only scored 136 points. I mean, that is pretty brutal for a first overall pick. And they didn't do much better in the second round either, where they took Mitchell Moroz, and he played in the minors forever. I remember watching Mitch Moroz in the minors forever, and he never made it to the NHL. In the third round, they did get Jujhar Khaira, who has turned out to be a solid fourth-line guy for them. Over the past few seasons, Khaira has been a solid depth player. So, that's a solid third-round pick there. Zarkov never made it, but then they drafted Eric Gustafsson in the fourth round. Gustafsson, who's not with the Oilers anymore, but he turned out to be a somewhat decent player for sure. Joey LaLeggia, I remember watching him in college. He went to the University of Denver. Really good defenseman in college. Hasn't made it to the NHL, but he was a fifth-round pick, and he's been good in the AHL. He's been a solid AHL guy. So, again, fifth round, it's very unlikely that your fifth, sixth, and seventh-round picks are going to touch NHL ice. If they do, then that's a good pick for that late in the draft. 2011 was the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins year. Once again, first overall, and Nuge has had a good career. He's a solid player. He's a good top six forward, and he maybe hasn't become the superstar that a lot of people that you would expect with a first overall pick, but he's a very good player. So Nugent Hopkins is solid. Oscar Klefbom also in the first round that year. That was a very good pick. Klefbom's become a very good defenseman for them. Beyond that, you didn't get much until Tobias Reeder, and Toby Reeder's an interesting guy because he's a fourth-round pick. He's a fourth-round pick, and he actually has gone on to play over 400 NHL games, and he's turned out pretty good. Still in the league too, which is always nice when guys have some longevity. No, I disagree. You're lucky to get an NHL player out of a third-round pick. You're happy with a top 9 forward in the first or second round. You are lucky to get an NHL player out of a third-round pick. And most third-round picks don't make it to the NHL. A large majority of third-round picks don't make it to the NHL. A lot of first-round picks don't even make it to the NHL, or at least don't last very long. Third round, if you get any NHL player out of the third round, that's a great pick. So the 2010, they picked again, first overall, and they took Taylor Hall, as we all know. We all know how Taylor Hall's turned out. So, good player, hasn't been on winning teams, but bad teams a lot of his career, but he's a good player. Tyler Pitlick, I did not realize that Pitlick was originally drafted by the Oilers, but he's played for the Stars, he's played for the Flyers, and he's become a solid depth player. Martin Marincin, oh god, Leafs fans, hide your eyes. Martin Marincin was originally drafted in 2010 by the Edmonton Oilers, and he's played 227 NHL games. How? I have no idea. I have no idea how. he's played that long in the NHL. He sucks. But then, obviously more misses here, guys that never really played. But they picked Brandon Davidson in the 6th round, and he actually ended up pretty, at least he did have somewhat, again, a 6th round pick, even touching NHL ice is good for a 6th round pick. So that wasn't a bad draft. This wasn't great. 2009, they picked 10th overall, and they took Magnus Pajärvi, and he did play at the NHL level for a while. I remember him with the Blues. Obviously, he was picked by Edmonton, but he didn't last all that long, and he's since left the league. I think he was with Ottawa last. And then Anton Lander, who I don't even know at all, somehow played 215 games in the NHL without me even hearing about him. That's a joke, right, NFL Nation? I hope you thinking Marincin is kind of good as a joke, because he's worse than Cody Ceci. Oh my God. 2008 was Jordan Eberle. Eberle's turned out really good. Now with the Islanders, obviously, but that was a very good pick. Getting a player like Eberle with over 500 career points later in the 1st round, 22nd overall, that's a huge hit. Huge hit. 2007 was Sam Gagner, 6 overall. Again, I don't think Sam Gagner ever lived up to being a 6 overall pick, but he still has had a very long NHL career and has been a solid player. Most of their players from 2007 did at least play somewhat in the NHL. Well, one game doesn't really count, but Linus Omark played a few games. Riley Nash still in the league. Sam Gagner had a good still in the league with Detroit technically. Plante was a big miss. Taking Alex Plante 15th overall was a huge miss there. He only ever played 10 games. We could keep going. Obviously, Andrew Cogliano was a great pick, 25th overall. He's played over 1,000 games in the NHL. Really solid player. Jeff Petrie, 2nd round. He's still in the league. Solid middle pair defenseman for Montreal. So, they haven't been terrible at drafting. But, obviously there's been some big misses there as well. Do it till 2000. All right, I'll keep going. Devan Dubnyk. People forget Devan Dubnyk was originally a Oilers prospect. He was never really good with the Oilers, but after leaving Edmonton, he went to Phoenix, and obviously now is in Minnesota, and he's put together a pretty good career post-Edmonton. Rob Schremp, that's a throwback name right there. I don't know if you guys will know who he is, but that's a throwback name right there. Rob Schremp. He played a lot in the AHL. That's why I know his name, but he never really made it at the NHL level. And then a whole bunch of more misses. This 2003, they had a lot of picks, but none of them really made it, other than 7th round pick Kyle Brodziak. All these picks in the top 3 rounds. They had 5 picks in the top 3 rounds. None of them played more than 300 games in the NHL. And Zach Stortini, who is a pure fighter in the NHL, was the one who played the most. But their 7th round pick, Kyle Brodziak, played over 900 games and was a very, very good depth forward for many years in the NHL. So interesting how that turns out. All those picks, and your 7th round pick is the one that makes it. 2002, again, they had a ton of picks. The draft was also longer. Pre-lockout, the draft was like 9 rounds, 8-9 rounds. Yeah, so the draft, you took more players, but Jarrett Stoll went on to have a very good NHL career, as did Matt Green. Matt Green was on the Kings when they won the Stanley Cup, as was Jarrett Stoll. That's funny. They both were drafted the same year by Edmonton in the 2nd round, and they both ended up winning Stanley Cups with the LA Kings. But, those two guys had pretty good careers, but other than that, all of these other guys, you never got more than 62 games out of it. So it's funny how the draft works like that. 2001 was Alesh Hemsky's year, 845 games, over 500 points. He had a very good career. Other than that, nobody really notable beyond that. And then 2000, Matthew Lombardi lasted a little while in the NHL. He was a depth guy. And same thing with Brad Winchester. Brad Winchester was kind of a fourth line type guy for a little bit in the NHL, but never a huge star or anything like that. Yeah, literally, a lot of players only play. They make it to the AHL and that's it as well. Yeah, they weren't great at drafting, particularly the 2000s especially was not good for them at all. The 2000s were not good for them. Was Teddy Purcell was he an Oilers pick? I didn't see his name. I think, was he an Oilers pick? He was drafted way before then. I thought he was. Wow, Chris Vandevelde was originally picked by the Oilers. I remember him with the Philadelphia Flyers. He was on their fourth line for a few years. He was originally picked by the Oilers. I had no idea. I don't think Teddy Purcell was not. He wasn't a Oilers pick. Yeah, no, he's not here. But no, I remember. Vandevelde played with the Flyers for a while, but he was originally drafted by the Oilers in 2005, was it? Yeah, 2005. So that was out of high school before he ever went to college because he played at North Dakota. And I remember him at North Dakota, and then he played in the minors for a while, and then he made it to the NHL with Philadelphia. But he played a few seasons, but he only played 278 games. That's not really a lot. But anyway, Oilers were particularly tough not great drafting in the first in the 2000s to say the least, but I think they got better in the 2010s. So, Purcell was undrafted. Okay, I remember him with Tampa Bay. I remember first learning about Teddy Purcell when he was with Tampa Bay. I wasn't sure if they drafted him or not, or just signed him. But thank you for MJ. Thank you for the info there. That is helpful for sure. So what team do we want to do next? I'm gonna pick the next team here. So I don't know which one you guys want to do, but throw some teams out in the chat so we can do. All right, NFL Nation wants to do the Bruins. Vaughn wants to do the Sharks. We got Bruins. We got Florida. Islanders. All right. Well, we got a bunch of votes for so we'll do the Bruins next. Then we'll do the Sharks, Islanders, and Florida. All right. So let's go find Boston's draft history here. This is gonna be a very mixed bag. I can tell you that already. Hang on. What am I looking for? Oh, Bruins history. Draft. All right, so here we are, Boston Bruins draft history. What? All right, so obviously 2019, 2018, none of those guys have even played an NHL game yet. Way too early to start looking at. Even 2017, Urho Vakanainen, 18th overall, has only played 7 NHL games. Jack Studnicka, second round pick, who I actually think is the Bruins' best prospect without a doubt right by now, is only played 2 games. So even 2017, but now we get to 2016. So this is where guys start having some NHL experience here. Yeah, I do. I think Beecher's going to be good, but he's still a ways away from the NHL. He's got some more he's still got some more development to do. All right, so 2016, Charlie McAvoy, 14th overall. Obviously, that's been a massive hit. He's a future #1 defenseman. Trent Frederick, I'm a huge fan of. He's my favorite player in Providence. He's only had 17 NHL games, but I think he's probably only ever going to be a third-line center, but that is more than okay with me because Jack Studnicka is going to be a top-line center, I think. And then Ryan Lindgren, who's now with the Rangers, because we traded him in the Rick Nash deal, but he had a really, really good year with the Rangers this year. And Lindgren was a very solid pick. 2015, this was a disaster. So DeBrusk is good. I like Jake DeBrusk. He's had a good career so far. He's made the NHL. He's a top 6 forward. Zaboral needs to go. Absolute garbage. Needs to go. Senyshyn sucks. I mean, Zach Senyshyn was playing on the 4th line in Providence this year. This guy is an AHL 4th liner, and you took him 15th overall. Oh my God. This could have been Thomas Chabot, and this could have been Matt Barzal, and this or Kyle Connor, or Brock Besser. There were so many good players that these guys could have taken instead, and they took Jakub Zaboral and Zach Senyshyn. These guys blow. Zaboral is horrible. I don't know what you're talking about. Horrible. Oh my God, these guys blow. You have an AHL 4th liner and a defenseman with 2 NHL games, Jeremy Lauzon is playing ahead of Jakub Zaboral. Urho Vakanainen is playing ahead of Jakub Zaboral. They're pulling guys up from Providence and just skipping over Zaboral because he's so bad. He brings you nothing offensively. He's pretty poor in his zone, like useless. Oh my God, he's useless. DeBrusk was the only good pick out of that 3-in-a-row stretch. Oh my God, it's frustrating. But then you have Brandon Carlo, who's absolutely a home run. Absolutely a home run with Brandon Carlo. He's a legitimate top 4 defenseman. Hey, Dono Hype! Thank you so much for the $1, Sutton. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Everyone get that Dono Hype in the chat going for Sutton. Great to have him, as always. And I really appreciate it. But Carlo's been fantastic. He's a legitimate top 4 defenseman. One of the best young defensive defensemen. And God, I'm a huge Carlo fan. So that pick was a home run. JFK, don't even get me started. Jeremy Lauzon, who was picked 52nd overall in the 2nd round, I actually really like. He is much better than Jakub Zaboral. So Zaboral was taken 13th overall. Lauzon was taken 52nd overall. And Lauzon is by far the better player. They also got Dan Vladar that draft, who, if you don't know Dan Vladar, he led the AHL in goals against average and save percentage last season. So Vladar looks like a guy who could potentially be a legitimate NHL goalie, maybe even a very good starting goaltender. He led the AHL and he put up great numbers in last season with Providence. So I'm really excited to see him. Jesse Gabriel was a complete waste of a pick. Cameron Hughes plays in Providence. He's pretty good in Providence, but I don't think he has much NHL. I don't think he has much NHL potential. 2014, David Pastrnak, 25th overall. 25th overall, David Pastrnak. Are you kidding me? How did he slip that far? I don't know, but he's got 379 points in 390 NHL games. It's incredible. Second round was Ryan Donato. We don't need to talk about that. 4th round was Danton Heinen. Now, all right, I did not like Danton Heinen. I love to pick on him. He was my least favorite Bruin when he was on the team. But Danton Heinen, for a 4th round pick, has actually turned out pretty good. He's a third line NHL player picked in the 4th round. That is a very good pick there. And then Anders Bjork in the 5th round. Now Bjork's had a lot of setbacks, mostly because of injuries, but if he was a 5th round pick, and if he works out and becomes a 2nd or 3rd line NHL forward, that's a very solid pick in the 5th round there. Emil Johansson sucks. Bad in Providence. No, thank you. 2013, this was not a good draft. This was not a good draft. Linus Arneson, gross. Peter Solaric, gross. He'll be gone after this season. Ryan Fitzgerald, I love Ryan Fitzgerald for Providence in the AHL. He's never going to be an NHL player. Wiley Sherman's terrible. Anton Bleed, I love Anton Bleed. He's an AHL player. He's not an NHL player. So, that draft they didn't really get anything out of. 2012, oh my God, the Malcolm Subban year. Yeah, Malcolm Subban in the first round. No thank you. Career backup goaltender. But third round, Matt Grzelcyk. Matt Grzelcyk took a little while to develop, but he absolutely has turned into a very solid top 6 defenseman in the NHL. So definitely cannot complain about Matt Grzelcyk there. Seth Griffith, he was really good in the AHL, not so much in the NHL, but 5th round pick. Same thing with Matthew Benning. Benning's actually played, a decent number of NHL games for a 6th round draft pick. He's played 248 games. I mean, you can't really complain about that pick for that late in the draft. 2011 was the Dougie Hamilton year. Obviously, he was taken 9th overall, and he's gone on to become a very good NHL defenseman. Alexander Koklachev was taken in the 2nd round. He put up a lot of points in Providence, but never translated to the NHL. He wasn't very good defensively. Anthony Kamara was horrible, complete waste of a pick. Brian Ferlin, I actually really liked, and yes, you did see Matthew Benning. He was taken 6th round in 2012, but Brian Ferlin I really thought could be a solid 4th liner in the NHL, but he ran into major concussion problems, and he ended up not playing. He ended up missing most of a season in Providence after a couple of years, and then he tried to play the next year, and I think he got another concussion, and that was it for Brian Ferlin. He was a guy I really liked in Providence, but just the concussion issues. Rob O'Gara is absolutely garbage. Could not stand him. 2010, obviously the Tyler Seguin year. Sagan's turned out to be a great NHLer, but that's what you would expect at someone taken 2nd overall. Jared Knight was horrible. Ryan Spooner turned out okay. He did play 325 games in the NHL. He was good he was a really good player in the AHL. Not as good in the NHL, but game just didn't translate well, but he did play over 300 games. And then after that, we have Craig Cunningham, great in the minors. Obviously, really unfortunate what happened to him. And then some other guys that kind of just hopped around a little bit. And then Zach Trotman. A lot of you guys will recognize Zach Trotman's name. He's with the Pittsburgh organization now. He's played 91 NHL games as a 7th round draft pick. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with getting any NHL games out of a 7th round pick. 2009 was bad. Jordan Caron sucked. Ryan Button sucked. Lane McDermott and Tyler Randall were both fighters. So I really enjoyed watching them in Providence. They were both pure enforcers, fighters. That's all they did. And, they were really fun to watch. 4th round pick and a 6th round pick. But again, they played a few games in the NHL, but for the most part, stayed in the AHL for their whole careers. And Tyler Randall, I believe, is still in the AHL, playing somewhere now. 2008, their 1st round pick was Joel Colborne. That was a bad pick. Max Sauvé, good in Providence, but never an NHL player. Michael Hutchinson, there you go. Well, he's not on the Leafs anymore, but he was on the Leafs. Michael Hutchinson, he's in Colorado now. But he was originally drafted by Boston, and I watched him play in Providence for a long time. Never a big fan of him. Never a big fan. Oh, God. Hamill was horrible. We'll get to him next. Jamie Arneal never made it, and then beyond that, I've never even heard of these two guys. And then that brings us to 2007, and I don't even want to talk about 2007. Zach Hamill, 8th overall. You know who the next pick was? Logan Couture. Boston could have had Logan Couture at 8th overall, and they took Zach freaking Hamill, who is one of the worst first-round draft picks I have ever seen in my life. Oh my God. But they did take Tommy Cross in the second round, who I absolutely loved. He was the captain in Providence for a long time. Really good AHL defenseman. Never really made it to the NHL, but really good AHLer. And then the rest of these guys. I mean, Jordan Knackstead, I remember him in Providence. But he never came close to making the NHL. 2006 was Phil Kessel in the first round. Thank you very much, Toronto, for that Phil Kessel trade. That got us Tyler Seguin's pick and Dougie Hamilton's pick. But Kessel, obviously, we know is going on to become a great player. Yuri Alexandrov, absolute trash. But in the second round and in the third round, they took Milan Lucic and Brad Marchand. No, Lucic was awesome in Boston. His career's gone downhill in Edmonton, or from Edmonton on, but Lucic was awesome in Boston. 521 career points, over 1,100 penalty minutes, almost 1,000 games played. Lucic was fantastic. Marchand, obviously, has become just an absolute stud, top-line winger. He was drafted in the third round. Bodnarchuk, I loved in Providence. He was a 5th-round pick. He's a career AHLer for the most part. Yeah, Lucic's 1 year in LA, he had 50 points. Lucic was good for that year in LA. It was after that he really started. He was decent in his first year with Edmonton too, but it was after that he really started going downhill. Let's see, Matt Lashoff. Matt Lashoff, 22nd overall in 2005. That did not work out. That was a bad pick. Peter Kalus, he was terrible. Mikko Lehtinen never made the NHL. Jonathan Sigalet. I remember Providence had Jonathan and Jordan Sigalet at the same time in the mid-2000s. They were brothers. One was a defenseman, one was a goalie. But there's Vlad Sobotka. He actually had to put together a pretty decent NHL career for a while as a depth forward. So Sobotka was a 4th-round pick. The rest of these guys were all minor league guys. 2004, Boston didn't have a 1st-round pick, but they did have they had a couple of 2nd-round picks, and one of them was David Krejci. David Krejci was a 2nd-round pick, and he's gone on to become one of the most underrated players in Boston Bruins history. Over 900 career games played, almost 700 career points. Almost 700 points for David Krejci. Martin Carsums, he was an AHLer. Ashton Rome, AHLer. Christopher Stieg. Who remembers Christopher Stieg? No, Sobotka was originally a Bruin. Sobotka played his first NHL games with Boston. Christopher Stieg was a 5th-round pick in 2004. He went on to have a pretty decent NHL career. And then Matt Hunwick, a 7th-round pick in 2004, and Hunwick played over 500 NHL games. Let's see, 2003, Mark Stewart. I loved Mark Stewart. Great defensive defenseman. I loved Mark Stewart. And he went on to play for Winnipeg after we made the Blake Wheeler Mark Stewart trade for Rich Peverly. Patrice Bergeron, 2nd-round pick. It's still hard to believe that a player as good as Patrice Bergeron wasn't even a 1st-round draft pick. I mean, he should have been a top 3 draft pick that year, and he got taken in the 2nd round. Byron Bitts, I remember him from Providence. He did play a little bit at the NHL level, but not much. And Nate Thompson. Nate Thompson was the captain in Providence for a while, and then he made it to the NHL after leaving the Boston organization and going to Tampa Bay. He made it to the NHL with Tampa Bay, And he's gone on to have a great career post Bruins. 767 games played. Great fourth line forward. So Nate Thompson was a 6th-round pick. Let's see. Hannu Toivonen in 2002. He was a goaltender that never worked out. And Jan Stastny, he played a few NHL games, but really wasn't that good. That overall, 2002 was a shitty draft for Boston. 2001, Sean Morrison. He had a pretty decent NHL career. Andrew Alberts also played a solid number of NHL games. And Milan Yurchina was also originally a Bruins draft pick. All from 2001. And then there's Jordan Sigalet, the goaltender. He played for a long time in Providence, but never really made the NHL. In 2000, Andy Hilbert. If any of you Islanders fans, do you remember Andy Hilbert? He was originally a Boston draft pick. And other than that, it's a whole bunch of nobodies. None of these guys really made it. So that's the 2000s and 2010s for the Bruins. I know Vaughn wanted me to do the Sharks. So I need to do the Islanders. I need to do the Sharks. I need to do Florida. I need to do Calgary. I am seeing your suggestions, or most of them, in the chat, guys. Hang on. Sharks history. Draft. Let's take a look at San Jose here for Vaughn. So, obviously, the most recent drafts, it's way too early to tell. Mario Ferraro, though. Mario Ferraro for San Jose had a really good year in his first NHL season this year. He was a 2017 second-round pick. I like him a lot. I really like him a lot. So I think that was going to end up being a solid pick. Now we start looking towards 2016, 2015, guys who should be playing. Dylan Gambrell. Dylan Gambrell, second-round pick. He played a lot this year on their fourth line. And he's really the only one to play significant NHL time this season. Noah Gregor is a fourth-round pick. Apparently, he played 28 NHL games. I've never even heard of him. But he apparently played 28 NHL games. 2015, 9th overall, Timo Meier. That obviously turned out to be a fantastic pick, as Meier is one of San Jose's best players now. And Rudolfs Balcers, who was involved in the Erik Karlsson trade, and he went to Ottawa in that deal. He has played 51 NHL games. He was a 5th-round pick, yet he's ended up being a better prospect than any of these guys taken before him, other than Timo Meier. So, again, interesting little draft tidbit. It's funny how those things work out. 2014, Nikolai Godolbin played 125 NHL games. Kind of a fringe player, but look at this. Kevin Labanc. Kevin Labanc was a 6th-round pick, and he's now played 284 NHL games and has become a solid winger for San Jose. So, that's obviously cool to see a 6th-round pick have that kind of success. 2013, Mirko Mueller, depth defenseman, played 185 games. He was taken 18th overall. He was 18th overall for Mirko Mueller. That's pretty bad. And no one else from that draft has even played an NHL game for San Jose. So, yeah. Hey, Bruins fan, Bada Bings here. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Slapshot Hockey says he met Chris Versteeg at a Flames and Nucks game, and he took a picture. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Chris Versteeg had a solid career. Remember, guys, if you're new, to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Those likes go a long way. 2012 San Jose, 17th overall, Tomas Hertl. Obviously, that has turned out to be a great pick. Second round, Chris Tierney. That's another very good pick. Both of those guys have played over 400 career games in the NHL. Yeah, 100% MJ. Absolutely. Kevin LeBanc definitely needs a raise. He took less money on a 1-year deal so the team could sign other players, and then the team ended up being one of the worst teams in the league. So, yeah, he certainly should take the raise next time. Yeah, Mirko Mueller's not good for sure. Um, and Joakim Ryan, 7th round pick. He's actually played a decent number of NHL games with 141 for a 7th round pick. 2011, Matt Nieto, obviously over almost 500 career games. He's turned out pretty good. Sean Corrali. I did not know Sean Corrali was originally a San Jose Sharks pick, but he was a 5th round pick, and he's become a very good 4th liner for the Bruins. Dylan DeMello, 6th round pick. He's turned out really good. Um, well, relatively speaking, DeMello's a solid defenseman. He's turned out really good, relatively speaking, for a 6th round pick. And then Colin Blackwell now with Nashville. He played a few NHL games with Nashville this year. So 7th round pick, making it to the NHL. So 2011 was pretty decent there for the Sharks, especially for not having a 1st round pick. 2010, they took Charlie Coyle in the 1st round. That was obviously a very good pick. Ended up trading him to Minnesota in the Brent Burns deal, but Coyle now with the Bruins, and really solid player. Other than that, they didn't really get anybody noteworthy. Freddie Hamilton, who is Dougie Hamilton's brother, but Freddie did not ever really make it at the NHL level. Yeah, Jamie Benn, 145th overall, is a massive steal, bada bing for sure. That was a great pick for Dallas. 2009, they didn't really get anybody noteworthy at all out of 2009. 2008, obviously they missed with their early picks here, but they got Tommy Wingles in the 6th round and Jason Demers in the 7th round. So 2 late-round picks that went on to have solid NHL careers there. Demers still playing with Arizona. 2007, it's a Logan Couture year, who should have been a Boston Bruin, but he went 1 pick later to San Jose, and he's obviously put together a fantastic career. But they did great in the later rounds too, taking Nick Bonino in the 6th round, Justin Braun in the 7th round, and Fraser McLaren, who was a big-time fighter, in the 7th round as well, and he was a really good enforcer in the AHL for a number of years. 2006, they completely missed on their 1st-round pick with Ty Wishart. He only played 26 games and did not last very long in the NHL, but they hit on their 2nd-round pick with Jamie McGinn, who had a pretty solid career. 2005, Devin Setaguchi. Speaking of forgotten NHLers, Slapshot, Devin Setaguchi, 8th overall. He had one really, really good year. I remember he had one outstanding year with San Jose, and then his career went straight downhill after that. But Mark-Edward Vlasic in the 2nd round, he's been a fantastic defensive defenseman. Alex Stalock, in the 4th round, he's been splitting starts with Devin Dubnyk in Minnesota this year. And beyond that, Derek Jocelyn, I don't know him at all, but he at least played 100 games. Zach Hamill instead of Logan Couture. How did that work out? 2004, another miss with the 1st round here. Lucas Casper only played 16 games, but they took Thomas Greiss in the 3rd round. Obviously, Greiss now with the Islanders has had a solid career. Torrey Mitchell as well for a 4th-round pick. Played over 600 NHL games, so that worked out pretty good for Mitchell. 2003, Milan Mahalik, 6th overall. Obviously, he didn't live up to being a top 10 pick, but at least he had a somewhat decent NHL career. Hey, welcome back. Steve Bernier, another first-round pick. Funny, they had 2 first-round picks in 2003. They took Milan Mihalik and Steve Bernier. Both guys had like decent NHL careers, but neither guy lived up to their draft status. They took Matt Carl in the second round. He went on to have a very good NHL career with a few different teams. But the biggest win out of this entire draft for San Jose came in the 7th round. Joe Pavelski in the 7th round has almost 800 career points and over 1,000 games played. And he was a 7th round draft pick, 205 overall. Absolutely unreal. Yeah, Chris Newbury. I had no idea that Newbury was originally a Sharks draft pick. I always remember him playing in the AHL with the Hartford Wolfpack, which is the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers AHL team. I thought he was a Rangers draft pick. I had no idea that he was originally a San Jose Sharks draft pick in 2002. And he played 76 NHL games. Tim Conboy also played a few NHL games, but overall did not last very long. Look at this. 3 first, second, and third round pick in 2002 for the San Jose Sharks. Not one NHL game played. That is bad. That is pretty bad for sure. First round, second round, third round, not a single NHL game played. 2001, Marcel Gottsch. I remember him. Wow, what a forgotten like third line grinder, fourth line grinder right there. Marcel Gottsch in the first round in 2001. Had a solid NHL career. Christian Ehrhoff as well, a very solid NHL career. He was a 4th round pick. Christian Ehrhoff actually went on to have almost 800 games played, almost over 300 career points. Very solid two-way defenseman. But Ryan Clough, also very, very good. Absolute shame what happened to Ryan Clough with the injuries, because he was a great power forward. He was a absolutely fantastic power forward. It's a shame that he had all the injury issues later in his career and kind of flamed out. But yeah, Matt Carl, Slapshot. Matt Carl just kind of he got really bad really quick with Tampa Bay. He was really good in Philly, and then he went to Tampa Bay and was decent. Was decent at the beginning with Tampa Bay, but then got really bad got really bad really fast. Marcel Gottsch had a solid few years, and then he obviously got really, really lousy towards the end. But he did have a stretch there where he was a very good bottom 6 player. And then 2000, they didn't even have a first round pick, and absolutely nobody from their 2000 draft really did anything at the NHL level. So that's it for San Jose. We've gone through them. I'm gonna do the Islanders next. So we'll take a look at the Islanders draft history here. This ought to be interesting. Hey, Transportation Land, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here, as always. We're moving on to the Islanders here. We're looking at some draft histories for different teams. And let's see. Oh my God, stop jumping around the screen. All right. So the New York Islanders, obviously nobody from their 2019 draft has played an NHL game yet, but they're all very young. 2018, they've actually had a couple of guys from 2018 already play NHL games. Oliver Wahlstrom and Noah Dobson. They picked back-to-back 11 and 12 in the first round in 2018, and both of those guys. Oh, hang on. It might have gone blurry. Yeah, it probably did. Hang on. Let me fix that. I didn't even notice because it's so small there. It should have fixed now. Back to this. So 2018, even though that was only a couple years ago, they've already had 2 players from the 2018 draft play NHL games. 2017, Sebastian Aho has played a few. But again, it's a little early to be judging those guys. It's not until we get to 2016 and 2015 that I really start looking at whether these guys have made it or not. Hey, what's going on, TTC? Welcome. Kiefer Bellows. Yeah, I think. Hang on, let me see this. Let me check this camera again. I can't even. Why is it? This isn't even Streamlabs. This is the camera. Maybe it's the lighting down here is like confusing it or something. I don't know. It does look blurry though, but it won't like fix. But anyway, back to the draft here. 2016, Kiefer Bellows, obviously only played 8 games, but looks really, really good. Excuse me. Otto Koivula. I don't know why I can't say that. Otto Koivula, another guy that looks like he's got some real NHL potential there for sure. So 2016, really good draft there, or decent. I think. Well, no. All right, Koivula and Bellows, I think, have a shot. It's going to depend on those two, because Golishev, no, and no one beyond that, no. They didn't even have that many picks. I mean, you had a first-round pick, and then you didn't pick again until the 4th round. They traded away a lot of picks there. Bellows, again, I saw him play in college at Boston University. He's a good scorer. Like, he can put the puck in the net. It's still a waiting game with him, I think. I think if he turns out okay, that will save this draft for them. Koivula is another guy that, especially for a 4th-round pick, I think has some potential. But it's really going to depend on those two guys, because the rest of this draft is an absolute no. 2015 was a great year. 2015, they got Bovillier. Come on. They got Barzal 16th overall in a pick that, he should have been picked by the Bruins before he got to 16. Bovillier at 28th overall. Both of those guys are already highly productive players in the NHL. So, I mean, just right off the bat there, you nailed your 2 first-round picks. And then they got Mitchell Van de Sample in the 3rd round. And he's a guy that I really, could he develop into an NHL defenseman? I think it's possible. I've seen him play in the AHL, and I think, certainly not a guarantee, but for a 3rd-round pick, I think they got a chance. He's got a chance. But obviously, you nailed the 1st round here. I mean, you nailed the 1st round here with Barzal and Bovillier. 2014, God. I mean, your best player that you've taken in the 2014 draft with your 4th-round pick with Devon Toews. Sorokin obviously hasn't played in the NHL yet. Probably will next year. Has the chance to be really, really good as well. Ho-Sang I've completely given up on because of the attitude. And Del Cole at 5 is brutal. Del Cole at 5 is brutal. He's a borderline NHLer. Ugh. I mean, it's like, how you cannot draft a borderline NHLer with a top 5 pick. That is brutal. Ho-Sang, I don't like Ho-Sang at all. I think his attitude is a huge problem. I don't think he's gonna be a good NHLer. Devon Toews, I think, at least to this point, is the best player you took in that draft, and that was with a 4th-round pick. And obviously, Sorokin's got a ton of potential in goal. 2013, Ryan Pulock, 15th overall, great pick. Pulock's been awesome. Love watching him shoot the puck. Big fan of Ryan Pulock. The rest of these guys didn't really work out. Alan Quine, if you remember him, he played a little bit at the NHL level for a couple of years, but really flamed out. But again, he was a 6th-round pick, so even him making the NHL is a win. If a 6th-round pick makes the NHL, that's a win. Okay, get the laugh emojis ready, guys. Get the laugh emojis, guys. 2012 here. Griffin Reinhardt. Griffin Reinhardt at 4 overall. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 2012, 4th overall, Griffin Reinhardt. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. Pelech is great. I love Adam Pelech. He was a 3rd round pick. You should have taken Adam Pelech at 4 overall and not drafted Reinhardt. Oh my God. Pelech at least has turned out to, with development, a pretty good player. Griffin Reinhardt at 4th overall. And then Peter Chiarelli traded for him in Edmonton. Like that guy still has potential. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Nobody other than Pelech is worth anything out of this draft for the Islanders. Literally, it's unbelievable, HTH. It's unbelievable. Hey, Alex, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Remember to hit that like button, guys, if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're going through some draft histories here. We're on the New York Islanders right now. We've done Edmonton, Boston, San Jose, and now New York. We're going to do Calgary next, and then I'm going to take more. We got to do Florida as well. We got to do Florida and Calgary, and then I'll take more suggestions. But 2011, Ryan Strome, 5th overall. I am so conflicted on this pick. Because Ryan Strome never lived up to being a top 5 pick with the Islanders. He really struggled at Edmonton, but he really played awesome with the New York Rangers the last year and a half or so. And, I don't think he's lived up to being a top 5 draft pick, but he's really started to get his career on track. He had a huge year with the Rangers this year. Breakout season for Ryan Strome, so he might just be a late bloomer. 2nd round, Scott Mayfield. He's become a very solid defenseman with them. And then they've got a few guys here who have played some NHL games, but not a lot. None of them are really noteworthy. 2010. What is with them in picking, like, fringe top... No, all right, not fringe, but... like players that don't really live up to being top 5 picks, but are still decent players at 5th overall. 2010, they took Nino Niederreiter. They gave up on him very, very quickly. And then he went to Minnesota, and now he's with Carolina, and he's become a decent player. Not great, definitely not worth a top 5 pick. But decent for sure. And then Brock Nelson, 30th overall. That's actually a better pick. Brock Nelson at 30th overall is actually a much better pick than Nino Niederreiter. And, that has turned out really, really good for them. And then no one else beyond that has made the NHL. But Nelson at 30th was fantastic. And then we get to 2009. Can I just say, it's my stream. I can swear. Holy shit. 2009. Who drafted this? And why isn't he still the GM? Like, how? John Tavares at 1 overall, obviously elite pick. Calvin DeHaan, 12 overall. Now, DeHaan maybe not picked a little high. Not great for a 12th overall pick. Maybe would have been better at like 25 or 26. But still, solid NHL defenseman and has been in the league for a number of years. Mikko Koskinen didn't really make it his first try at the NHL, but after coming back over from Europe, has now been the backup for a couple years in Edmonton and has been solid. Anders Nilsson played over 160 games in the NHL, and isn't he still with Ottawa? He's still in the NHL, I believe. Casey Cizikas, great 4th line player, taken in the 4th round. Now this player I don't know. 5th round pick. He only played one game. Still, he even played a game. Every single player taken by the Islanders in 2009 has at least played one game in the NHL. And then Anders Lee, as a 6th round pick, is now the captain of the team. I mean, what a great draft in 2009. Yes, Koskinen was originally drafted by the Islanders in 2009. He played 4 games in the NHL, then went over to Europe, played in Europe for a while, and then came back a couple years ago with the Oilers and has been with the Oilers since. But what an unreal draft for the Islanders there in 2009. 2008, they had a boatload of picks. A boatload of picks in 2008. This is literally like nuts. Wait, you have a Koskinen rookie card with the Isles? That is awesome, HTH. That's absolutely awesome, dude. Wow. What a like obscure but sweet card to have. Bada Bing says he went through the McDee's drive-thru and saw Chiarelli. Oh, yeah. No, Chiarelli's brutal, Bada Bing. He was such a bad GM. Oh, wow. That's nuts. A signed Bobby Orr rookie card? That is absolutely incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Wow. Yes, Jared Spurgeon. We just got to 2008. He was originally drafted by the New York Islanders. So 2008 was wild because they have a ridiculous amount of picks here. So they took Josh Bailey, 9th overall. Again, in my redraft, I kept that pick the same. Josh Bailey's had a very solid career. And 2008 in general wasn't a great year for draft picks, so can't really complain about that. Trevino never made it, but Aaron Ness, who's still bouncing around as a depth defenseman in the AHL. Travis Hamonic, 2nd round defenseman. He's become a very good player. These guys never really made it. They touched NHL ice, but that's about it. Matt Martin in the 5th round. Matt Martin, long, solid 4th line career in the NHL, was a 5th round pick in 08. And then Jared Spurgeon, also in the 6th round. Unbelievable. Jared Spurgeon was a 6th round pick. He's gone to have a very, very good career with the Minnesota Wild. So, really interesting draft there in 2008. They had a ton of picks, and 4 of them have turned out to be very solid NHL players. 2007, they literally got nothing out of 2007. Mark Kadick is the only one to even have played in the NHL, and he only played 11 games. 2006, they took Kyle Okposo, 7th overall, and people, obviously, Okposo flamed out really bad with Edmonton. Or not, not with Edmonton, with Buffalo. That my mistake. But Okposo has been really bad for Buffalo since signing that big deal. But people forget how good Okposo was with the Islanders and how important he was to those teams. So, he at least had a good NHL career. Jesse Joensuu, I remember him, never really stuck at the NHL level. Then they took a bunch of nobodies all the way until Andrew McDonald in the 6th round. Hey, all right. Thank you, HTH, for looking that up. That makes sense. So Spurgeon never even signed with the Islanders. He just became a free agent and then signed with the Wild, and he's put together a very, very good career with the Minnesota Wild since then. But Andrew McDonald, he played for the Flyers. He played for the Islanders. He had a pretty good stint in the NHL, almost 600 games before getting out of the league. 2005, they got literally nothing out of that. 2004, Blake Como, really the best player to come out of this 2004 draft for them. Petri Nokalainen did not last long. he was a really bad guy to pick in the first round. But Blake Como in the second round had over 800 games in the NHL, solid player. And Chris Campoli, talk about a throwback name. How many of you guys remember Chris Campoli? He was a defenseman for a while in the league. 440 games played. 7th round pick, so definitely not bad for a 7th round pick. 2003, they completely missed in 2003. Robert Nilsson did not last very long. You guys know that name? 2nd round pick, 58th overall, 57 games played. Jeremy Colleton. Do you remember? You guys know Jeremy Colleton? Hey, Ray Bro's here. What's going on? Thank you so much for joining, Ray Bro. Really appreciate it. Let me click on this. Yes, head coach of the Hawks. He didn't last very long at the NHL level, but I think he was in the A. Oh, that's only his NHL stuff. Did not play much at the NHL level, but he is now the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. So, and then Bruno Gervais, another guy that if you're my age or older, you'll probably remember Bruno Gervais. He did play a good number of NHL games with the Islanders. 418 games played, 87 points in the NHL. I think most of his career, if not all of it, was spent with the Islanders. 2002, Sean Bergenheim. Yeah, no, I think Seabrook. I think were they drafted the same year? I think they might have been drafted the same year or very close to each other. Yeah. Sean Bergenheim, 22nd overall in 2002, 506 games played. But the better player came out of the 3rd round, Franz Nielsen, almost 900 games played, almost 500 career points. Franz Nielsen, originally picked 2002 in the 3rd round. Let's see, 2001, they got absolutely nothing out of that. And then, oh my God, can we shred on them for 2000? Can we please shred on the New York Islanders? Oh yeah, I'm getting nostalgia because all these players from the 2000s that I haven't thought about in like 10 years, but I vividly remember. It's just awesome to look back on. No, Franz Nielsen's contract with the Red Wings is really, really bad, but he was a very good player for the Islanders for a number of years. Not so much with the Red Wings, but with the Isles, he was good. Yeah, no, Bergenheim's been out of the league for a while now, but what a throwback name there. But here we go, 2000. Can we talk about their 2000 draft? They picked at 1st overall and 5th overall. 1st and 5th overall. And the 2 players they select are Rick DiPietro and Raffi Torres. Oh, so Seabrook was drafted a couple years after Colleton then. So he's a little bit younger, but not by much. But Rick DiPietro at 1 overall, obviously injuries completely destroyed his career. And Raffi Torres at 5th overall. Someone tell me how the hell Raffi Torres was a top 5 pick. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. How was Raffi Torres a top 5 pick? Yes, Duncan Keith was a 2003 draft pick, I'm pretty sure. Slapshot. He was a 2003 pick. Anyway, I don't want to go all the way to 1986. That's a long way, but obviously 1999 was a good year. They got a lot of NHL players out of that. Tim Connolly had a very long, pretty long and good career. Taylor Pyatt as well. Mike Rupp in 1998. He went on to play over 600 games in the NHL. Roberto Luongo and Eric Brewer were both New York Islanders draft picks, and they picked at 4-5 in 1997. 4-5 in 1997. They took Roberto Luongo and Eric Brewer. Both played over 1,000 games in the NHL and had very, very good careers. Yeah, and they traded Luongo, which was an absolutely ridiculous move. Hey, Rye Guy, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Glad to have you here. So, Luongo and Brewer in 1997 were great picks. Chara, third round in 1996. J.P. Dumont, third overall. I remember Dumont in the with the Buffalo Sabres. Dan Lockature that was not a good pick, but man, this is wild. Wade Redden, second overall in 1995. Over 1,000 games played. Wow. All right, we're going really far back here. Oh yeah, Williams for sure and Cronwall were steals, absolutely. But we're going deep into the 90s here. I'm trying to keep it to the 2000s through present, but man, Islanders with some wild picks there. We're gonna do Florida, I think, next, because I gotta do Florida and Calgary. So here's the Florida Panthers. I'm gonna try and go through these a little bit quicker. I mean, I could do this all night, honestly. Maybe we'll do this again and do teams that we haven't done yet. Alexei Yashin for Zdeno Chara. Yup, absolutely unbelievable. And then, of course, we had the iconic Brian Berard, Wade Redden swap. Yes, I remember that, HTH. Well, I mean, I don't remember it from when it happened, but just knowing the history, I remember it. Yeah, that was wild. Berard didn't want to play for Ottawa, so they just swapped Redden and Berard played for the Islanders, and Redden went to Ottawa, and Redden spent a long time with the Ottawa Senators. Was a great defenseman for them. All right, yeah, Zdeno Chara, originally drafted by the Islanders, came into the league with the Islanders, and then went to Ottawa, then went to Boston, and has been a Bruin ever since. So anyway, now we're on to the Florida Panthers. So Florida here, obviously 2019, 2018 picks, it's way too early to tell. 2017, they took Owen Tippett. I really think he does have a bright NHL future. Might not be ready yet, but he does have a bright future. 2016, now we can start looking at him. Henrik Borgstrom, definitely somebody who you're gonna, I think, hear more about over the next couple of years. Riley Stillman played a good amount of games for them this year on that defense. I think for a fourth round pick, he's turned out pretty well. And Maxime Mamin, another guy, I think, did he leave? He might have left the NHL. I remember watching him in Springfield, though, in the AHL for a couple of years. Yeah, literally, that is nothing new. That is nothing new, HGH, not liking ownership with Ottawa. Absolutely not. No, yeah, no, Bobrovsky's been rough so far with Florida. And they have Spencer Knight coming up. So I don't know why they needed to sign Bobrovsky to a 7-year deal when they have Spencer Knight coming up. But who knows? Maybe Knight won't be as good as people think. I mean, goaltenders are always extremely risky. You never know. They're very hit or miss. But anyway, 2015, 11th overall, they took Lawson Krause. Now, Krause obviously has since been traded to the Arizona Coyotes, but he had a solid year this year. Sam Montembeault, he got some time as the backup up with Florida this year. And then Dennis Malgin. Yes, Dennis Malgin, Toronto, now on the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's played almost 200 career games now. 2014, obviously, the first overall, they took Aaron Ekblad. Ekblad's a good player. Not exactly sure. Yeah, they probably could have done better at 1 overall, but Ekblad's still a solid defenseman. Jace Howlerchuk, He's gotten some games as a depth guy, but other than that, they haven't gotten much out of 2014. 2013, obviously, they drafted an absolute superstar with Alexander Barkov, second overall. Other than that, though, they haven't gotten much, although so that they went defense heavy this year. Josh Brown played quite a bit this season. I like him a lot in the minor leagues. And he was a 6th-round pick. Mac Weegar actually had a very, very good year. Yeah, 6th and 7th round. They stole some solid depth defensemen in the 6th and 7th round. Ian McCoshen didn't really last very long, but 6th and 7th round, they got 2 solid depth D-men there. So that was pretty good. 2012, they took Mike Matheson in the 1st round. I got to stop clicking that. He's been okay. Other than that, they didn't get anything out of 2012. 2011, obviously, Jonathan Huberdeau, 3rd overall, is a great pick. Rocco Grimaldi, now with the Nashville Predators. I didn't realize he was originally a Florida draft pick. He's been solid. He's been solid for the last couple years with Nashville. Vincent Trocheck, 3rd-round pick. 3rd-round pick for Vincent Trocheck. I mean, that is fantastic. Great job there. Logan Shaw, he's played some games as a depth guy, been pretty decent. Other than that, not much out of that draft. I mean, overall, they got Huberdeau, Grimaldi turned out solid, and Trocheck, so definitely can't complain about that. 2010, they took Eric Goodbranson, 3rd overall, obviously. Goodbranson is a solid depth D-man, but he was not worthy of being a top pick like that. Absolutely not. Nick Bjugstad at 19th overall. Big injury issues this year, but, still a decent player. Quentin Howden in the 25th overall. Petrovic in the 2nd round. He played for the Providence Bruins this past year in the AHL. There's Jonas Donskoy, 99th overall in the 4th round. 348 career games now for Donskoy. Now with Colorado, really solid player. Zach Hyman, 5th round pick. Over 300 games played now, obviously with Toronto. Really solid player. So they definitely missed with Goodbranson at 3, but they got Bjugstad, they got Quentin Howden, they got Petrovic. Petrovic's kind of a miss now, but they got Donskoy and Hyman in the 4th and 5th rounds. And neither of them, I don't think, ever played with Florida. 2009, 14th overall, they took Dmitry Kulikov, and now he's obviously with Winnipeg. Pretty solid D-man in Winnipeg. Other than that, the rest of these guys are kind of fringe players. Not a ton of NHL experience there. It seems like Florida trades a lot of their players before they get NHL ready and then end up missing out on them actually being good. 2008, in the 2nd round, they took Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom in 08 probably should have gone higher than 31st overall, but, he now had a really, really good year with Vancouver this year. And then Matt Bartkowski, 7th round pick. And he saw a decent number of NHL games. What is with this 2007 draft? I mean, I've been ripping on the Zach Hamill pick. Now we got Keaton Ellerby at 10th overall. Obviously did not work out at all. How about this? Evgeny Dadonov was originally picked in the 3rd round in 2007. And he's like just coming into the NHL as a good player in the past couple years. Really late bloomer there. With Dadonov, but he's turned out decent. Still with the Panthers. One of the few that they didn't get rid of. Yeah, goaltenders take a long time to develop usually. I mean, obviously it's not always the case, but for the most part, goaltenders take a lot longer to develop. And they definitely lost their patience with Markstrom. And now Markstrom's, what's 30 years old now, and he's really starting to show that he can be a starting NHL goalie and a really good one. 2006, 10th overall, they took Michael Frolik. I don't know how we feel about Michael Frolik, but he definitely did not live up to being a top 10 draft pick. He's pretty much a depth guy, and now he's stuck in Buffalo, for God's sakes. That really sucks that he's stuck in Buffalo. 2005, they did not get anybody that became a regular NHL player. Kendall McCardle, he was a guy with a lot of potential. I remember him getting really hyped up as a prospect, and it never ever materialized. He only played 42 NHL games and had 3 points. Never materialized. 2004, Rusty Olesh. He played a few NHL games. Wasn't very good. Stuck around a little bit, but wasn't very good. Big pick from this year was David Booth in the 2nd round. Hey, DMV, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. David Booth in the 2nd round went on to have a very solid career. Kind of flamed out pretty quickly, but he definitely had some solid seasons. 2003, here we go. Nathan Horton, 3rd overall. Obviously, being a Bruins fan, yeah, I would say that Klesla for sure is a forgotten player. I remember him with the Coyotes. For sure, Slapshot Hockey. Nathan Horton, 3rd overall. I loved Nathan Horton. Yeah, for sure, Rye Guy. Booth as a 2nd round pick was a nice win there. Horton, very unfortunate how his career ended, but he was a very good player, when he was healthy and in his prime. Anthony Stewart, kind of a fringe guy. Camille Krebs. Are you guys old enough to remember Camille Krebs? I know people my age probably do, but if you're younger than me, you might not. He played 230 games. Wow. And then, look at this. All the way down in the 9th round. Yes, Klesla was a Columbus draft pick. Yes. But Rostislav Olesh was a 7th overall pick by the Florida Panthers in 2004 and only scored 134 points. So not good for a top 10 pick. Look at this. All the way down in the 9th round, Tanner Glass, who played 527 NHL games. Tanner Glass, what a legend. I mean, that guy, hey, props to him. He stayed in the league for over 500 games with his fighting ability. So huge props to Tanner Glass as a 9th round pick. 2002, Jay Bouwmeester, 3rd overall, over 1,200 games. Unfortunately, I think his career is over with the heart problems, which really sucks because he was a great defenseman for so long. And then at 9th overall, they took Peter Tatacek. Never even heard of him, and he only played 3 games. Greg Campbell, let's go. Bruins legend Gregory Campbell in the third round of 2002, 67th overall. Absolutely loved Gregory Campbell. Great 4th line center. Really, really solid career, over 800 games played. 2001, 4th overall, they took Stephen Weiss. Weiss was a solid player. Didn't necessarily live up to being a 4th overall pick, but still put together a decent career. And then Lucas Krajicek, I don't even know how you say that. Played over 300 games, but I've never even heard of him. Same thing with this Ivan Majeski. Never even heard of him, but he played over 200 games in the NHL. And then, wow, 2000, they got absolutely nothing out of their draft in 2000. A total of 19 NHL games. So that is pretty bad. Yeah, honestly, Brandon, it's not been an easy history for the Florida Panthers, to say the least. They've been a losing team more times than not. All right, so now I need to go on to Calgary, and then I'll take more suggestions if we want to keep going. But that was Florida. Very interesting draft history in Florida. Very interesting. Now we're going to look at Calgary's here and see how the Flames have done. No, have not done the Leafs yet, Leafs Forever. Maybe I'll do the Leafs next. Although this has been going for almost 2 hours. I enjoy looking back on stuff like this. So we're definitely not going to get through all the teams tonight. We've already been going for an hour and 40 minutes. But, this is fun to, like, go back and look at this stuff. Because it's so cool seeing that guys were drafted originally by teams that you had no idea they were drafted by, or remembering that they, originally played for a certain team and then, moved on and went somewhere else in either trade or free agency. It's just really cool to look back on and really nostalgic, bring back a lot of memories of certain players. All right, so again, I'm pretty much ignoring 2019 and 2018 because it's way too early with these guys. 2017, Juuso Valimaki, again, missed all of this year with a knee injury, so that really, put a damper on his development, which sucks, but potential there for sure with the young defenseman. Well, here we go, 2016. Matthew Tkachuk. How many have I done so far? We've done Edmonton, Boston, the Islanders, the Panthers. I think this might be the 5th one we've done, going from, all the way back to 2000. So, I also didn't start right away. Like, we haven't been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes. I waited to get into it a little while, like 10, 15 minutes. But this is team number 5, I believe. But anyway, 2016, Matthew Tkachuk, 6 overall. Obviously has been absolutely outstanding for them. Huge hit with that pick. Dylan Dubé just starting to come in. 2nd round pick, just starting to come into the lineup this year. Looks like pretty solid potential, though. And Adam Fox, originally drafted. Yeah, 2016 was a very good draft. They got Tkachuk, Dubé, and Fox in the same draft. Obviously, Fox ended up being traded to Carolina and then refused to sign with Carolina and ended up signing with the Rangers. But looks like a really good young D-man for the Rangers. So, 3 really solid picks there in the 1st round, in the 2nd round, and in the 3rd round. No, I am definitely not doing a 12-hour stream. I have work tomorrow, Leafs Forever. That'd be insane. If I didn't have work, maybe, but definitely not with work tomorrow. So 2015, also, pretty solid. 2015 was a really solid draft as well. They didn't have a lot of picks, but they got Rasmus Anderson in the 2nd round. They got Oliver Shillington in the 2nd round, and they got Andrew Mangiapane in the 6th round. And all 3 of those guys are now, fairly important players to the Flames roster. So, Mangiapane and Anderson are vitally important, and Shillington's a solid depth defenseman. So 2015 and 2016 were very good drafts for Calgary. 2014, not so much. Sam Bennett, 4th overall, absolutely has not lived up to being a top 5 pick at all. Good depth guy. I'm a big fan of Sam Bennett. I like him as a player, as like a 3rd or 4th liner, but definitely not as a 4th overall pick. And then no one else from that draft has even played an NHL game. So not so good in 2014. 2013, really the only notable player here is Sean Monahan, 6 overall. So obviously Monahan's their top line center. Really good pick there, but no one else has really done anything. Alex wants me to do Chicago. All right, so maybe I'll do Leafs and then Chicago for the last 2, and then that will probably be it for tonight, because that will be definitely over 2 hours at that point. 2012, they took Mark Jankowski. Loved him at Providence College. Solid depth player for them. And Brett Kulak, another depth guy in the 4th round. So they got a couple of depth players out of that one. 2011, they took Sven Barchi, third overall. Barchi obviously has never lived up to being that high of a draft pick, but then they took Marcus Granlund, 45th overall. He was, he had some decent years. Overall, not great though. And then here's the big one, Johnny Gaudreau. Obviously drafted all the way back in 2011, went to Boston College, took some, let's see, here we go. Johnny Gaudreau, 4th round pick. This was before he ever went to college, but he ended up becoming a huge star in college, and then really, obviously becomes, a star player with this team since then. So Gaudreau, their top line left wing, great player. Obviously a awesome, awesome pick there. Whoa, did not mean to go that far back. So that was all the way back in 2011 that he was drafted. What an absolute steal with Johnny Hockey in the 4th round. 2010, they took Max Reinhart. That's an oof. Really, their only notable pick from 2010 is Michael Furland. Played over 300 games and has, become a pretty solid power forward when he's healthy. Missed most of this year, but hopefully will be back for the playoffs. 2009, they didn't really get anybody noteworthy out of 2009. Their 1st round pick was Tim Erickson. He played 93 games in the NHL, but could never stick as an NHL defenseman. 2008, let's see, they got Lance Boma in 2008. He played almost 400 career games. He was a good depth guy for a while, but the big win out of this draft was obviously here, TJ Brody, 114th overall in the 4th round, and TJ Brody's become a legitimate top 4 D-man in the NHL. So obviously a really, really good pick there. 2007, 24th overall, we have Michael Backlund. Still on the Flames. Very solid pick there. Great second, third line type player. Middle of your lineup guy. And then Keith Aulley. He didn't last very long at the NHL level, but he did play, some notable NHL games, 167. 2006. This is brutal. Absolutely brutal for 2006. Leland Irving, goaltender in the 1st round. Barely ever heard of him, only played 13 games, and no one else ever played a game in the NHL beyond that. So absolutely brutal draft for them in 2006. Pretty bad again in 2005. All right, see ya, Brandon. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Have a great night. Remember, hit that like button, guys, if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. That really helps out a lot, and it's greatly appreciated. 2005 wasn't much better. No one notable came out of that draft. They picked Matt Pelech in the 1st round. He never stuck at the NHL level. But 2004, they got some guys that at least played in the NHL. Brandon Prust actually had the best NHL career out of any of them. Almost 500 career games played, over 1,000 penalty minutes. 3rd round pick, ended up being a pretty good 4th line fighter in the league for a long time. Adam Pardy, defenseman, played a number of seasons in the NHL. And Adam Cracknell as well had some solid NHL time. 2003, 9th overall, Dion Phaneuf. Obviously, as much as I make fun of Dion Phaneuf, he still put together a very solid NHL career. Over 1,000 games played, almost 500 career points, over 1,300 penalty minutes. Phaneuf was a solid player. I don't think he was ever a number 1 guy, but he was a solid, he at least had a solid career. No one else beyond that, though, ever really did anything at the NHL level. Hey, Akuma's here and Hockey News Reports. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Yeah, today would have been free agency day, and I would have been streaming like all day if it was free agency, but obviously things are a little different this year. Yeah, Gaudreau. I mean, Gaudreau was never expected. He was drafted before he even ever went to college, and he was never expected to be the player that he turned out to be, but then he got to Boston College and absolutely lit it up, and just is becoming, Johnny Hockey. He's become an awesome player. Hard to believe he was taken in the 4th round, though. That's wild. 2002, they took Eric Nystrom, 10th overall. Obviously, never lived up to being a 10th overall pick, but did play almost 600 games in the NHL. Matthew Lombardi, again, over 500 games. So, for a 3rd-round pick, that's pretty good. And Curtis McElhaney, late in the 6th round, Curtis McElhaney was taken, and he's Tampa Bay's backup goaltender this year. 2001, wow, what a throwback. What an absolute throwback. Chuck Kobasu in the 1st round, depth player. I remember him with the Bruins for a while. Wow, Chuck Kobasu in 2001. And then the only other really notable guy is David Moss, back down in the 7th round. But he actually played over 500 NHL games and was a pretty solid depth guy as well. And that brings us to 2000, where this is why it's very risky to take goaltenders in the early part of the 1st round. No matter how highly touted they are or how great of prospects they are, Brent Cron, 9th overall, only ever played 1 NHL game. That's why people are very high on Askarov in this year's draft. But, I mean, goaltenders are extremely risky in the 1st round. Curtis Foster, 40th overall. He, I remember him with Minnesota mostly, 400 games played. Jarrett Stoll, though, 2000, 46 overall. 872 games played, Stanley Cup winner with LA, actually ended up having a very good career, as did Travis Moen. He had a very good career as a depth player. 747 games played. So, they got a couple of good later round picks there in 2000. So, there is Calgary for you guys. We'll move on. I was going to do the Leafs next and then finish up tonight with the Blackhawks. So, here's the Toronto Maple Leafs now. Askarov, thoughts on the future? Ton of potential with Askarov. But on the other hand, goaltenders are extremely hit or miss, and they're very risky picks in the 1st round because a lot of highly touted goaltending prospects just don't work out. All right, guys, I got to... Oh, this isn't what I want. I need draft history. I will be back in like 5 minutes. I just got to run and do something quick, and then I'll be back in like 5 minutes. So we'll go over the Maple Leafs in a second, but I got to go run, do something quick here before 10 o'clock. So, I will be right back. Just, hang on. I'll put you on something interesting here for Toronto. Where was some interesting picks for you guys to talk, amongst yourselves? Let's see. Woof. Here's 2015 and 2016. So these were obviously be interesting to see how these guys all turn out. But I will be right back in a second, guys. You can talk amongst yourselves for the next couple of minutes, and I'll be back soon. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just had to do something real quick, but let's get into Toronto here. We're gonna do Toronto, and we're gonna do Toronto and then Chicago to finish off the night. So again, 2019 and 2018, I'm pretty much ignoring for the most part because it's way too early to tell with these guys. Um, Now, obviously, Rasmus Sandin from 2018 has played NHL games and likely will continue to play NHL games. He looks ready, but you really, even 2017, Liljegren's played a little bit, but again, still needs a little more development. But really, 2016, 2015 is when we start and get into this. So Austin Matthews first overall, obviously massive win there. Carl Grundstrom got traded. He's just breaking into the NHL with, I believe, LA now. He's traded to LA. Other than that, they haven't really gotten anything else out of 2016. Yeah, Sandin at 29th overall absolutely is a steal. I mean, he's already breaking into the NHL 2 years after he got drafted, and like looks like a really good young defenseman and with a ton of upside. So 100%, Sandin that late in the first round is absolutely a steal. 2015, this was pretty well. This was good, particularly for these two right here. You've got Mitch Marner, first round, fourth overall. Marner's become an absolute stud, obviously. Incredibly talented player. And then Travis Dermott. And, the second round pick turned into a pretty solid top six defenseman. I thought Dermott, I was maybe a little too high on him when he first broke into the league. Like his rookie year, I saw him and I thought, wow, like Dermott might be a like legitimate two-way top guy. And that he hasn't exactly turned into that. I think, he's still mostly a bottom pair, solid. He's good young two-way player, but kind of a bottom pair guy with the team now. And I feel like I thought he was going to be a little bit better, but he's still become a really solid guy. Oh yeah, that sucks. But there's always those guys who end up not being nearly as good as people originally thought. Um, oh, he played in the SHL. That's cool. Grunstrom. So 2014 was obviously the William Nylander year, eighth overall. Nylander really, I think, took a good stride forward this year. Really had a breakout season this year offensively and looked good. And then another one, seventh round 2014, notable player here, Pierre Engvall played 48 games, got 15 points. I think Engvall, is a guy that could definitely play a role in this team's lineup going forward, and that is really good for a seventh round pick. 2013, Freddie Gauthier, 21st overall. Gautier's just never really stuck at the NHL level. I think the best player they got out of that draft is Andreas Janssen, who once again, seventh round pick, and he's become the best player out of that 2013 draft for Toronto. So interesting there for sure. 2012, obviously that's Morgan Riley's year. Great pick there with Riley at 5. He's their best defenseman. And then Connor Brown also that year, 2012 in the 6th round. And Brown's ended up being a pretty solid, middle of your lineup NHL player. 2011, this is not good. This is not good. You had 2 first-round picks in 2011, and they combined for a total of 12 NHL games. Tyler Biggs played 0, and Stuart Percy played 12, and that's it. That's pretty bad. And really, Josh Lavo is really the only notable name to even that they picked it all in this draft, and he's a he's a fourth line guy now with the Vancouver Canucks. He's a depth player, picked in the third round, but I mean, just gross. You have 2 first round picks here, and you completely, not even that you miss, but you like strike out completely on both of them. That is really bad. 2010, congratulations on Greg McKegg. I mean, I guess McKegg's played a solid depth role in his NHL career. Oh, God, that is disgusting, HTH. Trades the 2 picks that end up being John Gibson and Ricard Raquel, and then selects Tyler Biggs. Oh, God, that is disgusting. Greg McKegg, yeah, congratulations. That's pretty much all you got out of 2010. 2009, you get Nazem Kadri, 7th overall. That was a very solid pick for sure. Kadri's gone on to be a good, middle of your lineup center. Other than that, you didn't really get much. Jesus, yeah. Jerry D'Amigo is your next best guy with 31 NHL games. Oh, God. Leafs fans are going to hate this. 2008, first round, 5th overall, Luke Schenn. Wait, what? Luke Schenn. Not John Carlson, not Eric Carlson. I know that there were others, great defensemen that went in that draft as well. Luke Schenn. Ouch. Well, Luke Schenn has played over 750 games in the NHL, and I actually do like Luke Schenn as a depth D-man. But as a 5th overall pick, that is absolutely disgusting. And he is a number 6/7 defenseman. I mean, nothing more than that. And then in the 2nd round, you selected Jimmy Hayes. As a Bruins fan, I don't even want to say that name. Disgusting. Greg Patterin in the 5th round. Patterin actually turned out okay for a 5th round pick. Can't really complain about a 5th round pick still being in the league, and playing this long in the NHL. Well, he hasn't played a ton of games, only 267, but he's found a way now with Minnesota to still be playing hockey professionally, and for a 5th round pick, that's pretty damn good. 2007, oh boy. Well, in the Leafs' defense, they did not have a single... Actually, Carl Gunnarsson turned out really good. Leafs did not have a single pick in the 1st or 2nd round in 2007. Their best pick was Carl Gunnarsson in the 7th round. That's actually a really, really good pick. That's actually a really good pick, for sure. 617 games played in the NHL for a 7th round guy. Won a Stanley Cup with St. Louis last year, so can't trash on that. 2006, oh boy, Jiri Tlusty. Who remembers Jiri Tlusty? Because I certainly do. I remember him with Carolina mostly, but he did not live up to being a top 15 pick. He stuck around the league for a decent amount of time, but did not put up that much for points. Nikolai Kulemin, another absolute throwback right there. Kulemin, I remember him with Toronto. I remember him with the Islanders. He played almost 700 games in the NHL. So this draft, definitely a little bit better, for sure, this draft. You got some good players in 06. James Reimer, obviously, has gone on to have a decent career as a goaltender. Corbinian Holzer, originally drafted in 06. Wow. Now plays with the Nashville Predators. Victor Stahlberg. I had no idea Victor Stahlberg was originally a Leafs draft pick. No, this was not bad. Victor Stahlberg was originally a Leafs pick. I mean, I remember him with Chicago. I remember him with he went to Carolina after Chicago, I think, but flamed out since then. But Stahlberg had a couple good years, solid for a 6th round pick. And then Leo Komarov, also a 6th-round pick, also, still in the NHL. Still in the NHL with the Islanders. So that's awesome. This is funny. 2005. Well, the pick was good. As a Boston Bruins fan, I have to say thank you, Toronto Maple Leafs Nation, for Tuukka Rask. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed Andrew Raycroft. I'm sure you didn't. But thank you for Tuukka Rask, as he's gone on to become an elite NHL goaltender with the Boston Bruins. Originally selected by the Maple Leafs in the 1st round, and yeah, the rest is history. What? I had no clue that Anton Strawman was originally a Toronto Maple Leafs draft pick in 2005. Anton Strawman has gone on to have a very good NHL career, over 800 games played. Unbelievable. Wow. Anton Strawman, originally picked by the Leafs. I had no idea. 2004. Justin Pogge. Ooh. Again, didn't have higher than a 3rd-round pick, so it's hard to trash on that. But you didn't really get anybody out of 04. 2003, we've got John Mitchell, 5th-round pick. He played over 500 NHL games. He turned out okay. Other than that, he didn't really get much in 03. 2002, what a year, though, in 2002. Alex Steen in the 1st round and Matt Stajan in the 2nd round. Both guys went on to play over 1,000 career games. Steen is still playing with the St. Louis Blues. Stajan, I think, is gone out of the league now. But, wow, 2002 and 2003. Or, no, 2002, picks in the 1st and 2nd round. Both played over 1,000 games, so that's obviously good. Ian White, kind of a throwback there with the 6th-round pick. Yeah, can you believe thinking Justin Pogge is better than Tuukka Rask? That is unbelievable. But Ian White played over 500 games as a 6th-round pick. That's really good. 2001, oh my God, what a legend. Carlo Koliakovo, what a legend. Oh my God. I remember Carlo Koliakovo. He played for a while in the league. Brendan Bell, he didn't last very long, but I do remember him playing games. Jay Harrison, I remember him with Carolina. Kyle Wellwood, so they did pick some NHL guys out of here, just not guys that lasted very long, but definitely some guys that did see NHL action. And then finally, 2000, wow, Brad Boyes. I did not know that Brad Boyes was originally a Leafs pick either. Wow. Wow. Yeah, Brad Boyes, 822 games played, over 500 career points. And he was a Bruin for a little while. I certainly remember Boyes. And let's see. That's pretty much it as far as notable players out of that. No one else really lasted that long. Yeah, you had the Tyler Seguin pick for Phil Kessel. That was pretty. Actually, Boston got the Tyler Seguin pick and the Dougie Hamilton pick for Phil Kessel. There, that one's gone. Yeah, no, I completely agree, HTH. I agree. Dubas is not that bad. The contracts aren't great. I have to say, the massive contracts, especially now that the cap is not going up for the next couple years, the contracts are not great. But the drafting has certainly been good, and the trades aren't bad. Absolutely not. The trades are not bad. It certainly could be a lot worse for the Leafs, for sure. All right, last team I'm going to do tonight, because I've been going already over 2 hours, the Chicago Blackhawks. So let me pull up the Chicago Blackhawks draft history here, and let's talk about Chicago. All right, so here we go. Again, I mean, literally, Kirby Doc, third overall, has come right into the league in his rookie year, in his first year since being drafted, and has become a really solid young player. Really like what I see from him. 2018, took Boquist in eighth overall, and Bodwin. I don't know, Bodwin. 27th overall. Good young defense prospects there. I mean, Boquist played a lot this year, so he looks, very, very close to really breaking out. 2017, Henry Yoki-Haru, now with the Buffalo Sabres. So again, this team, Chicago's actually had a number of guys picked within the past couple of years that 100% have already played and look like decent young players. So AHGH, really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for watching. As always, really means a lot, and awesome to have you supporting the channel. But let's get into 2016 and on here. It's Bowden. Oh, it's Bowden. Okay. So, Nicholas Bowden. All right, I got it now. Thank you for the update there, Brandon. 2016 second round, Alex DeBrincat. Massive steal there. DeBrincat is awesome. Absolutely love that kid. Other than that, no one else has really made any NHL waves yet. 2015, they didn't have a first round pick. So, obviously, Dennis Gilbert played, third round pick, played with Chicago for a few games this year. Tough kid, not afraid to drop the gloves, to say the least. But again, only 22 games, not a huge amount yet. 2014, Nick Schmaltz, now with Arizona, but Schmaltz was a really good pick there, 20th overall. Hey, appreciate it, Alex. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go through this one pretty quick, I think. It's getting late. People are obviously leaving. And then Dylan Sakura, another guy. Dylan Sakura, I think, has a chance to be a really, really solid steal there from the sixth round for sure. 2013, they took Ryan Hartman. He's been passed around by a number of different teams. Carl Dahlstrom's played a little bit. John Hayden's played. Tyler Mott. They haven't gotten great players, but at least guys that have seen NHL action. 2012, Teuvo Teravainen's year. Obviously, he's worked out great for Carolina. Also Chicago. Did win Stanley Cup there. Vinny Hinostroza as well has become a solid depth player. Also with the Coyotes. 2011, they got Brandon Saad in the second round. That was certainly their best pick in 2011. Andrew Shaw, also really good career for a fifth round pick, 100%. Deneau has been good. Obviously, really broke in with the Canadians. Didn't play much for Chicago, but he's been good. Mark McNeil did not work out. That was not a good pick. Adam Clendenning really didn't work out either, but some decent picks there. 2010, Kevin Hayes' year. Obviously, Hayes didn't play for very long with Chicago, but turned out to be a very good player. Justin Holl, now playing defense with Toronto. Stephen Johns, originally picked by Chicago. I had no idea he was originally picked by Chicago. He's now with Dallas. Joachim Nordstrom, I did know he was originally picked by Chicago, now with the Bruins. So, interesting draft there in 2010. 2009, Dylan Olsen did not work out, but Brandon Peary, he played a little bit, not a ton. Byron Froese, a little bit. Marcus Kruger, honestly, became the best player out of that 2009 draft for Chicago. He was a really, really good fourth-line forward for them. Flamed out. His NHL career flamed out and ended very quickly. But for a stretch there, when Chicago was really, really good in the first half of the 2010s, Marcus Kruger was a very good player for them. Let's see. 2008 was pretty bad. Ben Smith was the best player they got out of that draft, and he didn't even play 300 career games. 2007 was horrible, with the exception of Patrick Kane, who obviously has become an absolute superstar and one of the best players in Chicago Blackhawks history. Other than that, though, they didn't really get anybody NHL level. 2006, Jonathan Toews, 3rd overall, the only player out of that draft for Chicago to make any substantial... No, Kruger was really good with Chicago. Then he went to Carolina, I believe, and really flamed out quickly. But Kruger was really good with Chicago. Peter LeBlanc played one NHL game, but that's one game. The only real NHL player they got from 2006 was Jonathan Toews. 2005, they completely missed with Jack Skilly at 7 overall. He was never more than a depth player. Mike Blunden in the 2nd round, another depth player. But they hit a huge hit. They got a huge hit with Nicholas Hjalmarsson, who, became a great defensive defenseman for them. And so that kind of makes up for it a little bit. 2004, Cam Barker. Oh my God, Cam Barker went 3rd overall. Cam Barker went 3rd overall. I forgot about that. What a miss there. But in the 2nd round, they got Dave Bolland and Brian Bickle, both who played huge roles in their Stanley Cups, in particularly 2013. So really good picks there in the 2nd round. And then they got Troy Brouwer all the way down in the 7th round. And Troy Brouwer actually went on to become a very, very good player for a long time in the NHL. 2003. No, Brent Seabrook was drafted in 2003. I thought so. Someone said 2005 earlier. No, Brent Seabrook was taken in 2003. 14th overall. He's played over 1,100 games. Obviously, that was a great pick. Corey Crawford in the 2nd round. Absolutely great pick. And then Dustin Byfuglien, all the way back in the 8th round in 2003 for Chicago. Obviously went on to have a great career. So out of the same draft in 2003, they got Brent Seabrook, Corey Crawford, and Dustin Byfuglien. That was a very, very good draft for them for sure. 2002, they got Duncan Keith in 2002, also over 1,100 games played. Incredible defenseman. James Wisniewski played over 550 career games. And Adam Burish played almost 400 career games. So they got some solid NHLers out of that draft. 2001, they got Tuomo Ruutu and Craig Anderson, both drafted by Chicago in 2001. Have had long NHL careers. But those are the only two they really got out of that. Yeah, their first rounds weren't good, but they were good at getting players outside of the first round, though. And then finally, 2000. 2000 was a really bad draft. Nobody that they picked in the entire 2000 draft, and they had a lot of picks, played more than 57 games in the NHL. So that is really quite bad. Wow. All right. Well, anyway, that does it. I didn't know either, Brandon, that Anderson was originally drafted by Chicago. I did not know that at all, but he's been in the league for a long, long time now. But anyway, that's Chicago. Let me switch back to what? Wait, what? Where did it go? Oh, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So, hope you guys enjoyed this and had some fun with this tonight, looking back at all these classic draft picks here. And it's always an interesting thing to look at and go back on to look at drafts. But I'm definitely going to call it a night here. Yeah, I'm not sure, Brandon. I didn't know that either, to say the least. I had no idea that he was originally drafted by Chicago at all. But yeah, this has been going almost 2.5 hours now. This has been fun though. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's always fun to go look back on draft stuff just to see like how things turned out and stuff like that. But man, we only got through 6 teams. I mean, it is time consuming to go back, and that's why when I do research for draft videos, like the redrafts and hit or miss series, stuff like that. It does take, the research is time consuming because it does take a lot of time to go back and look at all this stuff. But it was a fun stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously it's gone pretty late here, but I'm probably gonna end it here. But with that, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I know there's only a few of you left, but really appreciate you guys watching. It was a fun night. Yeah, it really, a lot of teams really, well, it's not even that they all, drafting's just difficult. It's not that they all sucked. It's that, like, drafting's difficult, and most teams only get 1, 2, maybe 3 legitimate NHL players per draft, and the rest of those picks just never pan out, and that's the way it is in the NHL. But there were certainly some teams that are very bad at drafting, and we did not talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets at all tonight, but that was a team, if you look at their draft record through the 2000s, was absolutely horrible at drafting. Luckily they've gotten better since then, but through the 2000s was really bad. Chiarelli sucks, absolutely. Chiarelli was a terrible drafting GM, absolutely, and terrible at trades as well. Thank you, Tyler Sagan. But definitely going to call it a night here. Pretty tired, and I got a busy day at work tomorrow, but I do very much appreciate all you guys watching. Thank you so much for just supporting the channel. And with that, I'm probably going to sign off tonight, and I'll talk to you guys soon for sure. I'm going camping this weekend, so I won't be streaming this weekend. I'll be gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will have some pre-recorded videos set to drop on those days, so there won't be no content at all, but there definitely won't be any streams until sometime next week. But when we stream again, I'll be, hopefully you guys will be able to watch, and we'll have another fun night. But with that, I'm going to end it. And have a great night. Brandon, you, good night to you as well. Thank you so much. And I definitely will be talking to you guys somewhat soon. And I've got tons of recorded well, not tons, but enough recorded content coming out over the next few days to keep everyone occupied. So with that, I'm going to end it. And thank you guys again so much for watching and all your support of this channel. It really means a lot.